Okay, so one of the things that you need to do for taking observations as part of your lab is take measurements of the egg. So it's going to be awkward if you try to measure the egg like length and width wise. So what we're going to do is we're going to measure the circumference. So the circumference is the distance around a circle. So the way that we're going to do this is we're taking, you can do this with either a string or a piece of paper. Here's a string that we worked out, which is basically just a cut piece of paper. What we're going to do with this is you need that, and you need something to put a little mark on the paper. So we're going to find the widest point of the egg, and we are going to wrap our string around, and where the two ends come together, make a mark. And then we're going to measure the distance from the end to the mark. Now, we are measuring using the centimeter side of this ruler because we are participating in science, and science uses the metric system. So we're not using the inches side, we're using the centimeter side. So you can see that this mark here, I'm going to zoom in. Okay, so when we're zoomed in here, you can see that this mark is at not quite at 14.5, it's at about 14.4 centimeters. So when you're recording data in your lab, here in your document for egg number 1, if this was my egg, I would be recording 14.4 centimeters. Now, every egg is different, so your egg is probably not going to have a circumference of 14.4 centimeters. So you need to go through with the eggs that you have at home, and you need to get the circumference of all 3 of the sample eggs that you're using, and you need to record them somewhere. Now, one of your eggs is an extra in case something goes wrong. So you may want to record your 3 measurements somewhere else, like maybe off to the side or down here in the margin, so that later on, the 2 that you decide to use, those are the ones that you record in egg 1 and egg 2.
Remember that you have to make both quantitative measurements and qualitative measurements. So your quantitative measurements are numbers. Your qualitative measurements are any descriptive, anything that you can think that would describe that egg.
So like Ms. Bieber, this egg is brown, whereas the egg that you're working with at home might be white.
Exactly.
So you would want to describe like what it looks like, what it feels like, and also make sure that you are not doing anything to this egg other than putting it in vinegar. You are not cooking it, you are not cracking it, you are simply gently placing it in vinegar.
Yep, raw egg right out of the carton. Excellent.
Yep. Okay.
Excellent.
Ha! Miss Bieber, that was punny.
I love puns. Yay.
There we go.
Good.
Hi, this is Mrs. Kohler.
And Mrs. Bieber.
And we are going to show you how to do day 1 of the setup of your egg lab. Now remember, we've been giving you reminders. If you are just doing the setup for this today at home, you are a day behind because we're going to set this up and then it needs to sit for 2 days. And remember, if you are setting up this part of the experiment just today, it means you're running a day behind. We were giving you reminders that you needed to start getting this set up earlier because it takes 2 days for the vinegar to get the shell off of the egg. So if you're just starting today, that means that you want to do part 2 of this lab 2 days from now.
So what we have here are 3 cups, 3 separate cups. We've measured the circumference of each egg, and you'll notice that we wrote it on the cup. You can write it on a cup, you can put it on a piece of paper. Just make sure that you know which measurement goes with which egg.
Because today, you don't want to write down the measurements that you took of the circumference on your data sheet, because one of these eggs is spare and you don't know which one you're going to end up not using. So just have the data written down somewhere else. That's why we went ahead and we put it in Sharpie on the cup.
So we've got our 3 sample eggs. Circumference has been measured, written to correspond with that egg, and all we need is white vinegar. If you have apple cider vinegar, you can use that as well. It's fine to use either. You're going to pour the vinegar carefully over the egg. Make sure that the egg is completely submerged. The other thing that we want to make sure is that we use the same amount of vinegar on each of the 3 eggs. Remember that control that you have to keep things constant in an experiment. So now we've got, even up that one. Now we've got our eggs covered with vinegar. One of the first things that you will see are little bubbles forming on the surface of the egg, and you'll see bubbles rising up to the top. The eggs need to sit in the vinegar for 24 hours, and then
tomorrow what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to carefully hold the egg. You may want to use like a plastic spoon, not a metal spoon, to hold the egg in place, and then you're carefully going to pour off the old vinegar, and you're going to put fresh vinegar in tomorrow. And then 2 days from now, what you should find is that all of the shell has dissolved off of your egg. So we will join you again in 2 days to look at some of our results.
Happy egging.
Excellent.
Excellent.
Brought to you by the biology team.
So if you are just doing the setup now, that means that you're going to be doing tomorrow's lesson 2 days from now, because it takes 2 days for the vinegar to completely soak through the eggshell. I'm going to say that again because my phone went off.
I heard a frog croaking and was wondering what happened.